Hello, I'm Toycat, and today I'm destroying an entire building in my Let's Play world, only to replace it with something 15 times bigger. I'm gonna spend weeks doing it in hardcore difficulty using only my pinky finger. Except no, we're not gonna do that. That would be ridiculous. Not everything needs to be the most dramatic, over-the-top version of something. Lots of things can be human and realistic and not faked, and indeed, not everything on YouTube has to be Mr. Beastified. I see why a lot of YouTubers have fallen into that trap, and I see why a lot of content is the most exciting when it feels like this is the biggest, craziest thing ever. But if everything is the biggest, craziest thing ever, then nothing is, and then you've lost the whole human side of YouTube for no particularly good point. And indeed, the human side of Minecraft is doing things that are actually achievable by one person in one playing session. And a good example of this would be, this is my survival world. I've slowly built this piece by piece, and today I have to do something I've never done before that's hard for anyone to do. I'm going to be destroying a build in this world, because I prefer to leave my destruction at the natural world. I destroyed this ocean by draining it and leaving an ocean bed that is slowly turning into a jungle. It's pretty beautiful, but one big flaw remains in this, and this is that a lot of my draining ocean is kind of covered up by this. This was built originally on the water, when the water was that level, as shown by these lovely blue stained glass blocks, and because there is no ocean below it, it kind of just effectively clouds the world for no particularly good reason. I think I recorded one video using all of these slabs and all of this area many years ago, and I haven't used it since. It was meant as like a video set, so at some point you have to say, yes, let's destroy this. We can move it somewhere else. I don't even think that's a good idea though, because this is pretty ugly. I think I could build a better version of what this is meant to be, and I think I could do it somewhere that isn't right here. So I'm gonna do something I very rarely do, especially with big builds, and I'm gonna destroy the entire thing and move it somewhere else, except it's gonna be much better. So I'm gonna destroy something to make room for something better. It kind of hurts to say, but let's just do the first block so it's over with. Now it's basically already destroyed. We're not really doing anything worse. So yeah, let's go to sleep and let's really assess what this is all about. So the morning has come where I'm going to be destroying my entire structure. And while we do that, I actually want to dive more into this idea of YouTubers feeling pressured to make videos in a certain style. I always call it the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. You know, like, it's perfectly fine to have one channel that's like that, but a lot of YouTubers feel they have to be, you know, a lot of pressure to be exactly like the biggest thing on YouTube at a given point in time. If that is, you know, say a channel that is named after a type of animal, then they'll go with that. If it's a channel, and ultimately, this isn't a necessarily unhealthy thing, because what the most popular thing is probably something people want to see more of. I think where it does get unhealthy though, is when people start to forsake all of the reasons that make something actually interesting to begin with. YouTube, in my opinion, is all about sharing the real side of things, and Minecraft videos are really great because you can see what other people get up to in a sandbox game. However, as soon as people start to expect huge, ridiculous amounts of content with non-stop, you know, jump scares that can't be achieved without either putting in months of work or maybe a little bit of fakery, you start to lose the realness, and you also start to lose the point of Minecraft. Minecraft as a sandbox, at least in survival mode, is about the challenge and is about the scale on which you're working. You're working on this block by block every single time I swing, even my efficiency 5 netherite pickaxe, I have to get one block, and so it takes some time to really destroy this thing from top to bottom. And so I think there is a beauty in the slowness. I think there's a beauty in the process that happens sometimes that people lose when they assume the only reason people watch videos, any Minecraft video or any YouTube video, is to see the highest packed action ever. And ultimately, the reason this exists is because people are really keen to please algorithms. People are immensely focused on making sure that whatever that algorithm is, whatever decides what videos are seen by people, actually recommends their videos. And honestly, you can't blame anyone for thinking this way, because if you don't get your videos seen by people, what point does it make to be making them? On some level, it's totally true, but I also think that if you give up everything that makes your video have a purpose, then what was the point of having it be seen by people? I think there is a real balance you have to strike there, and a lot of people kind of mess it up. And I think the bigger problem is that people are making a lot of videos that aren't considered good by themselves or even necessarily by their audience. They're just very clickable. A lot of 100 days are so painfully faked, and a lot of people even know they're fake, and they're just, you know, but yet despite that fact, a lot of people might go ahead with it anyway. And I think the problem with trying to please an algorithm effectively. Trying to please a computer is unlike trying to please a person. You can try to please people all day. You might be effective, you might not, but it's at least a noble goal to try. The problem with trying to please an algorithm is it's literally a machine. It doesn't have any concept of all of the things that we humans have for taste, and sometimes that's perfectly great. I'm going to put this all in a chest, by the way, right over here, I think. Just, right underneath this. I made this to show how slabs work. Right next to this, which I used to show all of the types of slabs we had at the time. I think it's pretty fun. It looks like you've had this lower down slab, even though this is the real blocks and these are the slabs. Wait, no, these are stairs. That's, again, the fact that it tricked me almost. It's very clever to me, the way all of this stuff works, and yeah, I absolutely love it. But speaking of things I love, I do have to say, that's why it's made of wood blocks. It looks like an absolute mess down here, because it doesn't have the texture making it look fun. But yeah, there is a real problem in trying to please, robots effectively, because robots don't have a clue of what people really find to be deeply interesting, deeply meaningful, and also, the concept of real can be lost on that. And I think the reason that's a problem is the same reason that we're all scared about the current AI revolution. To move this, Let's Play where we're getting some real destruction importantly done, let's talk about a very real, very serious issue, which is, or rather very prominent issue, which is the idea of AI getting more and more advanced. When we talk about the algorithm, we usually are just saying like, oh yeah, there's this system that decides which videos get picked, which ones don't. As long as you make your videos with the most flashy thumbnails, and as long as you start with, oh my god, this is a Minecraft video, and with, all the insane stuff you saw at the start of this one, as long as you do those things, more people click it, which means it eventually goes well. And that is the way that it can be viewed, but ultimately everyone knows that it's a robot or a machine that's making decisions. I wouldn't try to reason with my toaster, but if my toaster beeps at me when I put the toast in wrong, even though I know I'm putting the toast in correct, I might start putting it in the wrong way. Oh, my phone is ringing. It's my car being picked up. My fun life update is they're finally taking away the car that I damaged, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a scary situation just to have like a damaged car that like they said they take back and then they won't, because you're like, does that belong to me now? You don't want to just have things that aren't yours lying around, especially when you're in London and park it at spaces for just giant metal boxes. They're not free. Speaking of spaces not being free, so that's my personal life update. I feel like every week I'm trying to like make my life a slightly better place for future me, and one of those things is like making phone calls, even to people I really don't want to just again make things slightly better than they were before. Speaking of being better than things were before, I think it does have to be it warrants saying, at least a little bit, that we're all a little bit, beholden to the idea of like AI and algorithms and stuff, and we all kind of know that. But everyone talks about how like, ooh yeah, the AI is able to like beg for its own freedom now, and that's a real thing. But there's a really interesting idea that I think is in the idea of like, should we, we are the ones who program AI, at least right now. At some point that won't be true, which is a scary point. But while we are programming it, there's all sorts of really fun, deep questions about like, should it be, I don't know, the self-driving car is always the fun one of like, should you program a self-driving car to potentially kill a pedestrian to save the inhabitant of the vehicle? I mean, there's a greater good, that's like a 50-50. Each life is worth exactly the same, you might say. What about if it's like two pedestrians that you could kill to save the inhabitant of the vehicle? Or what if it's, you have to potentially kill, what if there's two choices? The car can maybe swerve and hit a cyclist who is wearing a helmet, or they can not swerve and hit a cyclist who's not wearing a helmet. Should they go for the cyclist with the helmet because he's more likely to live, or should they go for the cyclist without the helmet because, well, he's riding dangerously, he kind of deserves this? There's all these sorts of human judgments you have to program in if you think about coding as being this, very human idea. Like, even when you picture the algorithm, you're picturing like, yes, this is a robot we have programmed to desire, specifically want click-through rate, and we also would like it to desire some few other things. But it gets more complicated when it's like, yeah, even Google engineers have no idea what the algorithm is going for outside of the one or two variables they might give it. Like, keep people on YouTube for the longest time possible. What keeps people on YouTube long? Is it click-through rate? Is it, because, there are videos that have crazy high click-through rates that aren't being recommended to people. There are videos that have really low click-through rates that are being recommended. There are videos that have, I have a video my most popular video from the last month has like a 3-minute retention or something, but it's one that a lot of people are clicking on and it gets recommended anyway. There's all these sorts of like wacky variables, and honestly the answer as to like which of these is correct is you've got to make your own value judgment about whether this feels right or not. And to me, that feels kind of odd. That feels kind of wrong. This big decision that we're going to be walking into is like, how are we deciding what is worth watching and what isn't? And right now, we're deciding that by saying, yeah, let a computer decide. It'll work it out. And that's how we're going to be deciding lots of elements of safety in vehicles, right? That's how we're going to be deciding lots of elements of your life. It's going to be, yeah, there's going to be like a robot that knows what to do. And that is a fun but scary idea. And obviously, we can talk about how it's relevant to YouTube all we like, but I think the other places it's relevant are the places it gets really interesting. And one of the things I do have to say is like, you know, this applies to lots of places, this like decision. And I think ultimately like humans do have this weird internal moral judgment that we use for all sorts of things, whether we know it or not. You know, like just like all of the cases I listed of like, should your driver, you know, should your car kill a pedestrian to save the inhabitant? You will have an opinion on that based on your life experiences. Do you think that YouTube should prioritize the well-being of its users, or should it prioritize making the most, you know, like long watched videos or the most clicked videos? That's something you can have your own judgment on based on your own values. Even something as simple as like, okay, which adverts are okay to show? You know, what content is okay to show adverts on? Most people, you know, I'm a big believer in like, I don't think it matters what content you show adverts on, but a lot of people would say, well, you shouldn't advertise on things like this or things like that. We all have all of these ridiculous number of value judgments we're making all of the time, and I think it's a really fun world. And I think one of the fun things we can do, by the way, is as a result of this video being part of my moral value judgment, is I decided to do something I don't really do much on this channel, which is to take a sponsor, right? Because I think that on this main channel, I don't really do the sponsorship thing, mostly because I would rather focus on the content, more or less. Like, there's a lot of sponsorships on YouTube, and not all of them would fit for an audience of people. Like, you know, in the same way I make these videos because they're the videos I would like to watch, they're the Minecraft videos I would find interesting. In the exact same way, I think it's worth mentioning that, like, most sponsorships, I'm like, yeah, that's something you're definitely just saying because of this. But this is a sponsor spot that I heard from a YouTube video, and I was like, oh, wow, that sounds like exactly what I want. And so actually, and you know, I'm allowed to do this however I want. And so I'm going to use this as my opportunity to tell you about Factor 75. So Factor 75, it is for the sort of person who doesn't have as much time as they need to actually cook all of their food, and it is straight delivered to your door. It's absolutely wonderful, and the moment I heard about it, I tried to sign up, and I couldn't because I'm here in the UK, but I am going to the US soon, and I'm going to be using this link. I'm going to be going to factor75, whatever, it's linked down below, it's on the screen. I'm actually going to be ordering this myself because this sounds like exactly what I need. So it's a great way of saving time. It allows you to cater to pretty much any diet, so you can go vegan, you can go keto, you can go whatever else it is. I'm like a calorie in, calorie out guy, so I'm going to get a low calorie option, and it's going to be the easiest option for my my 9 to 5 Minecraft days, for me to be able to just order food that I know is nutritious and has all of the things I need. I like the idea a lot because to me it's the it's replacing takeaway for a lower price. I order so much of it. Honestly, it's a big problem. I started in the pandemic. I'm finding it hard to cut out, and one of the options for me is using Factor. This video is in fact sponsored by them, and I am gonna tell you to go use this link with this code, and you just use my link down below and it'll automatically apply. I'm going to be doing precisely that because using that link does help out the channel a lot, and this is one of those sponsorships I took not just on the monetary level, but because, yeah, I was so excited to hear about this. Maybe you heard about it from a Minecraft video, or maybe you say, actually, Toycat, can I trust you? That is an important like a thing. Like we've mentioned, we've gone through the entire thing. Anything else we say in this video isn't sponsored. I can talk about how AI is coming to kill us, or about how saving time is actually a false thing. Except those things aren't true. I will tell you about what I believe in, even if it's not convenient, because it's like maybe it isn't convenient for me to say that I love the idea of saving time, because ultimately I do a lot of things in my Let's Play world that aren't about saving time, right? Maybe that's really against my morals, you might say. But actually, I'm a big believer in spend your time how you want to spend it, and it annoys me when I'm hungry and I want some food, and my instinct is I want something super unhealthy because I wait too long. Whereas instead, if it's just oh, here's some easy, I try to surround myself so that the easiest choice is also the best choice, because my brain is all about just save some time, save some effort on things that I don't want to do. I love spending time on things that I do enjoy, which is why I have... I can't work out this torch pattern that I've got going on over here, but I spent 15 hours working on this. It's all live streamless channel. It was a lot of fun to me to do, but I would hate if I had to spend fewer hours doing the things I cared about, even if those things are dumb, because I have to spend time on something like cooking. And that's why I'm excited to try it, and that's why I immediately jumped. Again, if you want to hear even, this is like the taboo thing for YouTube to talk about. It's one of those things where I took it even though it's like less than the sponsored rate, just because I wanted, I would have worked with this just for a sponsor rate, because I'm that excited about the idea, and I'm that excited to order it when I can. Also, I think I was gonna leave this here. I think I have to move even this now though, right? Like this has the exact same problem, just on a lower level. Either I can like put some fences there to support it and make it look intentional, or I can destroy it. I think, yeah, for this to really work, no, I think I'm gonna put the fences below it. So I've got myself some spruce planks. Should have put all of these in there. Later we'll move these into whatever our new idea is if we intend to use it. But let's make ourselves some fences. Is 39 good? We'll go with like 6 on each side. Is that enough? We'll find out. And yeah, if we do this under, yeah, at the very bottom there, yeah, nice. If we just attach this to the ground, so 3, 4, 5, please tell me 6 is exactly the right amount. That's close enough, right? And then we'll do the exact same thing over here. So it'd be better if this was a different type of fence, like an oak fence to match the type of wood there. But not everything is perfect. And now if we just put a torch over there, it looks perfect, right? Maybe instead we could use the slab or the stairs. Yeah, the stairs, I think that's a logical connection to the ground. Perfect. And as you can see, this doesn't actually... this looks like very shoddy workmanship, but I guess I'll just take that for now. This is my little slab area, which is going to stay. Same with this whole thing. I really do though. I really like the idea of having one of these like videos that show off fun facts or things to do in Minecraft. They're always made in creative. I feel like anything that I see made in creative, I'm like, how can you do that in survival? Sometimes it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it took me so many hours to make a giant endstone cube that you can make in 3 seconds with the /fill command. Like, same with this whole ocean. I took 15 hours to drain something that you could do just as fast or bigger in less of a time. But I love this idea of like manually doing the blocks. And so I love the idea of having a place where I can have my builds. And although I can't have it be hanging over the edge of the ocean, I think right here is a pretty good spot for it, right? Actually, I like running on this spot. So I think right over here is a pretty decent spot for it. I think we work with the natural contour of this hill. So this can be the very edge. And we just start placing down blocks. I found some deep slate bricks in my inventory. I don't know what they were doing there, but we just placed down the bricks. And there we go. That's the corner of our build. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Do you like that? I like that. And now we can make the same area, except we have to remove some torches, move them elsewhere. And we can make the same area, but over here, not blocking my ocean. My ocean looks so much better right now because of the removal of this. You can really appreciate some of that effort I put in. And in the same way, I want the video area, the place I'm going to use for survival videos, to look a little nicer as well. I'm going to put up the same tables as before. Or maybe I won't, actually. Yeah, I think we should actually change the floor specifically around here too. Make it all match. But first, let's go get some blocks, because I think... I don't think I want to use these polished granite. I've got far too many of those. Oh, I've got some sponges to get rid of. I've got far too much polished granite. I'm not going to use that in this. It's not going to fit the color palette. Instead, I'm going to go find some black stone. So, be right back. Let's go find that. Okay, I'm back, and I brought myself some polished black stone to make into polished blackstone bricks. I brought myself some polished deep slate to make into deep slate bricks, and some polished stone to bring into stone bricks. I think we're going to have a real fun... little thing going on here where we could transition from blackstone bricks up to a deep slate brick, up to, get this, you could have like a fun all 3 layers, right? And I think that'd be a nice place to build a building. Or we could probably go the other way around, like light at the bottom, dark at the top. Actually, let's see which one looks better. Let's try this over here, then deep slate, and then blackstone. I kind of am liking that, but I like this as well. I'm gonna go with this. It looks more like a tree color flag. It makes you look up naturally, and that's probably good for a room we're building. And so now let's build a whole big room out of them that we can use to display various videos. Because ultimately, you know, a lot of the reason this channel exists is to, like, you know, teach people various things, tutorials, etc., with the, you know, survival emphasis. And so I always like the idea of having a place where I can do that in my survival world if it's super important to be pure survival, which oftentimes it is. And so, yeah, we're gonna have just a couple of layers of polished black stone. Make we can go for more than 2, but we'll just go for 2 for now, and then we'll go for a couple layers of deep slate. Or we could even go with more layers of deep slate, like a full transition, like 3 or something. And then we'll have some layers of stone brick at the top and see how that works for us. Yeah, I think this will be just great. And now we've got a background for a video that needs to look kind of industrial, right? If we need to teach people about something like that, we can totally do it. And wow, look how much nicer it is. I think, like I was saying though, I think the important thing about Minecraft is basically everything any player actually does. It's on a human scale. It's on a player scale. You can, you know, you can change about 1,000 blocks in the space of, you know, a half hour or something. And that's where most people kind of have their reasonable project bar set. I think that if you are going to try and encourage people to have a better time in Minecraft, it's best to show people what can be done within that space. You know, it's almost more impressive to have a build that is, you know, so limited in size and can be impressive still, than it is to have one that's like, yeah, well, this build takes, you know, 1,600 days in the real world to produce, but wow, doesn't it look nice? That's actually less impressive, right? I think I'm a big minimalist in the real world, like only like not out of choice or not because like it's like, oh, it's such a good aesthetic, but just like I genuinely hate stuff. If you have lots of stuff, it's a huge maintenance. And so as an example, if I want to change, if that whole let's say my my Netherrack mountain, which I placed an ungodly number of blocks, like 60, 70,000 blocks of Netherrack on that mountain. Well, if I want to then change something about it, let's say add a bunch of Nether quartz or Nether gold, that gets so much harder to actually cover in those things because it's so big to begin with. If my mountain was much smaller, if it was just that tiny one on the right here, it would be easier to make changes to it and upkeep it. Ultimately, one of the lessons I'm learning about the real world is like through various history things, but also just as I'm living my life, is that really it's really easy to build something once out of passion, but to build something in a way where it can exist sustainably for a really long time, that's a lot harder. And I think that sustainable thing is one of the big problems that we kind of run into here on YouTube, is that a lot of people are able to make something that is really interesting for a video once, maybe. Also, see, this is not lined up. I need a whole extra block over there. Always go diagonally if you want to see if it's perfectly square, because, I mean, if I looked at this long enough, I'd be able to tell, but just to be exactly sure of how many it is, I know it's one more block over here, which we can then place. And, yeah, I think trying to build a thing that lasts for a long time is hard. If you think about, you know, the Roman Empire, the fact that some of their structures are still standing today, you know, like, you can find ancient Roman structures, but in the modern era, that's actually insanity when you really dive into that. The fact, also combine these together, so we can put some stairs down, because I'm going to do the same thing I did before, but with a few extra blocks this time. We'll place one table around this block, so stairs, 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 and then same thing over here. But then we have little slabs on the corner. If you think about the Roman Empire, the way that you know, that entire thing like manages to have remnants that we have today. You know, like certain roads from the Roman times still being used as roads now. Obviously, they're carrying very different forms of traffic, but the fact that that can be possible. Also, look, the idea is to have like, so if I want to talk about the fletching table, I've got a place to do it in a normal survival world. I think if I want to have more of these tables, this place is going to have to be bigger. Or I could just have my other table be kind of in front of it. No, I think I want to make this a lot wider on one side. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I made it square, but I think if I want to do this correctly, I want to make this not square. Yeah, I think I want to have another block, like, here. And then we'll... Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll just work around this. We'll have a second block around it, and then that way we can compare 2 blocks at the same time in my survival world, but also give them a lot of focus, which is what they need. The fact that some things from 2,000 years ago exist, whereas some things from, you know, 20 years ago don't, is a real stark reminder that making something happen once, very crazy. Making it like sustainable and a real reason to exist, much harder. I think this is something you're seeing with whoever, the Meta, the company that owns Facebook. They're trying really hard to make VR a thing, and we all agree so strongly that VR would be amazing if you could just make it happen and give it like a real reason to exist, etc. But even though we all agree on that, and or at least most of us do, it's really hard to actually take the next step up, which is to say like, okay, but like how? What's going to be the real use that helps people in their day-to-day life? So it's 2 more blocks on the side here, and then we'll have a wall around that. So should be nice and easy to clear out. How do you give people like a real meaning that lasts for something? In the same way that fashion trends come and go, like the sorts of things that were really popular. Have you ever seen people, how they dressed in like the 70s or the 80s? Even the 90s, like 90s fashion, which is logically what I would have grown up with, is now like retro. It's like, oh yeah, you wear that not because it's good, but because it looks like it's from an older time. People love to look, or I think it's actually even early 2000s now that's like, oh yeah, wow, the early 2000s. Imagine how ancient you must be to have to have lived through that. And it's like, yeah, imagine. You know, something about becoming old here, I guess. But making things that can actually be sustainable, that can survive till later, is a really hard task for humans. And because Minecraft is this microsm, this micro version of the real world, if you want to make things that survive in your world, if you want to have a world that's worth coming back to, doing an insane project every now and then to get that energy out and to make something cool. Again, I love my Neverac mountain. I love my entirely drained ocean. I'm working on building the Nether in the overworld, and it's huge, and I still intend to do that, don't worry. It's totally an important thing too. Okay, let's make some stairs up this thing, I guess. So stair there, and there, and there. That technically works as a staircase. It's a bad staircase, but it works. Trying to have a Minecraft world that you still care about after lots of years is about, you know, making it sustainably fun. It's not being like, oh, there's nothing I want to do there. It's about being able to just say, what do I feel like doing today? And will it fit in with the rest of my stuff? This doesn't fit in with anything around it, and that's part of the beauty to me, is that I made this little thing. It took me, you know, like just a few minutes. It took me 45 minutes, and part of that time was getting you know, getting some people in to take away my car, or not my car, their car. You know, like I think achieving things on a human-sized scale is impressive in its own way. So we'll put our wet sponge down there. I think it should probably be a dry sponge, because you know, the point I'm making for this particular imaginary comparison is that sponges used to be just decorative, and then they made them useful, and fletching tables, you know, like they have a theoretical use, but it's mostly decorative, and then they might make them useful. At some point, that can show up in a future video now, using the same video set I built right here. Although it kind of needs a ceiling, doesn't it? Or maybe at least some more blocks going upwards. Yeah, I think so. We could go back the other way, or we could... I think we'll have some andesite on the top there. It needs something, right? There's definitely a lack of some block, and I'm gonna solve that lack today after we put the oak stairs back in there. So let's use some polished andesite, and let's see if that does the job. I don't know if I think it will. It might even make things ugly. Yeah, I think having especially for the corners, but just having one of these at the top. It's very, very, very simple finish, but the simple finish could do some nice stuff. I might even make it like overhang a little bit, so we could have the simple finish go 1 block further out or in on the sides. Do you think that would look good? Yeah, I kind of like it. It definitely makes it look like it's a space rather than just like a, you know, like a movie set or something. And as long as you don't look up, you don't have to question what's up. Yeah, look at that. Now it looks like a real space. I like it. I like what we did. I think it's arguable we didn't need that block over there. And if we are going to put that block there, we should put one to the left of it. Actually, maybe I should do that. That might be a fun idea, right? So, yeah, I think... No, this is good. This is very clear what we're doing. We have a place in the world where I can show off 2 items. And then from here, I can say, what if I have another place next door to it, just over here, where I could do the exact opposite? I could show, rather than showing 2 very similar items, show 2 very opposite items. You know, like, or what if I show 2 different similar items? Being able to build stuff one thing at a time, being able to build on the human scale on a level that a person actually would, is what you should actually be practicing in your world. And I can understand why some things should be the most exciting, biggest version of themselves. We need to still have those. We still need to have people going absolutely crazy. And I'm really excited for the few times I still do that. Like not only am I still building the Never My Oak world, I still want to do Crazy Nuts challenges, but I also don't want to pretend that that's the only thing that I do. I also don't want to pretend that regular Minecraft isn't interesting to me, because ultimately, this is one of the greatest games because a lot of the fun you have in it is a slow burn rather than a first one. And also, I love that the fire, you can't see it from this distance. We have to like walk closer, and if we walk further away, the fire will also disappear. And also right here, it's like a static image. All sorts of fun things going on. But yeah, that's something that I think is important. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. Either way, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you... I genuinely want to know, like, even if you aren't interested in getting it, like, tell me how you feel about the sponsorship on this one, because I very rarely do these for the Let's Play. I think you know that, and whenever it is something, it's something I'm like, yes, I use this and I will buy this. It's fine if you don't, but I'm letting you know about it anyway. I do get a tiny little kickback if you do decide to use the link though. So Factor75, thank you for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching it. Because, yeah, this is currently while I'm in a little bit of a flux period in my life. I don't want to talk about it more and more about my whole, like, basically moving my entire life plans again. But this is the last time I'm going to be in the United States for a bit. As this video goes live, I'm flying there. And so, yeah, I appreciate you all coming along and watching something that's a little more human. And if you want to see more human Let's Plays, I've got 500-something of them. And you better believe I intend to do more. Because I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Oh, I had the face cam on the whole time.